Hellfire Club. Hey YouTube, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and Happy New Year! We made it. It's 2018, y'all. We actually made it. Congratulations. I'm glad you're here with me. I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm still here to make these cool videos and that all of you are still out there, hopefully just thriving and succeeding. And yeah, let's do it. We're in 2018. Let's keep it rolling. We are on this this new episode of Gifted, which is called 3x1 or 3x1. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to mean like 3x1. I think that's what we're going for with this title. But anyway, where are we? We left the last episode a couple weeks ago with a bang. We are definitely in a very interesting spot in the world of the Gifted. The major things that happened in the last episode were the fact that we had the Strucker kids along with Dreamer and Blink all captured by Trask Industries, and with the help of Esme going around the Mutant Underground and pushing her ideas into everybody's head, she manages to get them to do an escape attempt, not an escape, sorry, but a breakout, I guess you could say, of these mutants. But they need the help of Jace Turner, which Esme enlists the Strucker parents to go off and talk to them, and they managed to convince Jace to transfer the mutants out of Trask Industries, because even though Jace really doesn't like mutants, he deep down isn't really a bad person. He doesn't want to see these people unnecessarily suffer, except maybe Dreamer, because we all saw he's still a little bit salty about Dreamer. But other than that, we know as a whole he didn't want to see people suffer, so they managed to convince him to transfer the mutants, at least in his custody, that he had in his custody, out of Trask Industries and bring them back someplace where they were not going to be tested or tested on. And unfortunately, Esme and her cuckoo-ass sisters, yes, they are cuckoo, they had another plan, and it involved killing everybody. Everybody who was there that night, who was unfortunate enough to be there, with the exception of Jace, which I do not think was an accident. I think they wanted to make sure there was at least one witness to go and run tell that, so that they could push forward whatever agenda they have set out for mutant kind.
Say what you're doing.
What?
You're trying to make me pay half your ridiculous rent.
Not true.
We're gonna fall for it.
Uh-oh. Why do these guys have crosses on their chest?
Oh my god. Are those...
Purifiers.
Oh, we should go.
That's new. Purifiers.
Hey, what the hell?
Are you one too? Speak up, boy.
Ooh, defining moment in the relationship.
No, I'm human.
He did.
To say the least.
Who this? New phone.
I was recruited to rebuild the Hellfire Club with you. Activities like mine make that possible, while indiscretions like yours make that difficult. We killed
Knew
a
it,
dozen
Hellfire
secret
Club.
services agents. A little something for your expenses. Don't let us down.
Homie can make
Edward
diamonds?
Leach was a good man.
I'm single.
He was cast down out of heaven.
Oh,
The angel
Lord.
was Lucifer.
You really gonna compare the
We
mutants
have
to the devil
living
now?
among us some who have been given to
And Sonia will not be forgotten. I promise.
Aw, John looks so
We will
sad.
find justice for her.
I promise.
I was about to say, I don't think they have a body for Dreamer either, but that could be a good thing. Well, maybe not, because, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Aw, poor Johnny.
So what do we do?
Stay focused, take down the Helm program.
Do we have a game plan?
Look at her stepping right
Yeah.
up. I like it.
All I know is I can't...
We can't get caught in the middle.
Or get caught, period.
Mexico.
I'm aware that our program, while it is many things, is not humane.
And why the hell did you start it?
Because I don't care.
Drop the atom bomb. The fact is, this is a crucial moment for us.
What's that supposed to mean?
Here we go, both sides, arming up.
The research at Trask has entered an exciting...
When Sophie and Phoebe were arrested, they gave their last name as Cuckoo. Probably just to piss off the cops.
Holy name drops
They
there.
talk about themselves?
It's sure.
Montez?
That jackass is a straight-up purifier. They've got the right enemies, that's for damn sure.
Okay, now we know what the Montez connection was. I was wondering why he was there last episode.
It's gonna tear this place up.
Hey, John. Could you come over here?
I thought you were gonna handle it. He had one job.
Well, for what it is worth, this mutant wants you here.
I appreciate that. I do. Sorry, man.
But we only think about ourselves, if you haven't figured that out yet.
At some point, you're gonna have to take a stand.
I tried that. You saw what happened. Got Sonia killed.
No.
That was
Campbell got Sonya killed.
Okay? Hate feeds on fear. And if you run, hate wins.
True words. Look at how wise Blink is suddenly becoming. I like it.
I test combine their abilities. And this is legal?
Of course not.
In the mandated Trask lab.
No. Okay, if you say so.
My description won't do it justice. I was hoping
Demonstration?
you could demonstrate the program in the field.
I mean, that's evil,
our differences in
but
the past, I know you still. We can help each other here.
go ahead. You're already in bed with the devil, Jace. Just might as well make it official. Talking about Lucifer when he's sitting right in front of you.
Okay, yeah, I think I have a couple leads we can follow up on.
Andy's like, yay, she's got a boyfriend again.
It's good to see you, man.
Oh, really? Only because you passing through, but if you was staying, you'd have an issue with him again. I see you, Daddy.
Are you Esme or which one?
Oh, what's it matter? We're sort of 3 in 1.
Ah,
About
the
you and
title.
your family running. You have to speak to them as Andrew Von Strucker if you want to be taken seriously. Surprised. You have no idea, do you? About your father?
My father is a pilot who died in a
No,
plane crash
your
when I
real
was-
father. Not the poor sap who married your mother. You must have heard about it. Your father was a member of the Hellfire Club. More than a member. A king.
True
That makes you
facts.
royalty. What?
What is that? Is the baby changing her powers?
You don't have to help. You want more sleep? I'm good here.
No, I want to.
Besides,
My hormones
it's
won't
hard
allow me to
these
sleep
days.
right now.
Feels better when I'm doing something.
What was that?
Yeah. I would have wanted to be here. Could not see you again.
Well, look who's smooth talking again. This kid is such a scammer. I don't trust him. I don't trust him.
The last time you felt amazing? You know, you had one of your...
Like, I know what a bipolar episode feels like. This is different.
Okay.
Tread carefully, my friend.
Never been more sure.
Do you want to cling to your ideals or do you want to survive?
We can't just chuck our principles because it's convenient. No, the X-Men
That's
chose
why they're
us
principles,
for a
kid. You
reason.
don't
It's not
chuck
'cause we
'em.
can kill.
If we wanted to kill people, we would have done it 1,000 times already, but we didn't.
Hey, listen up.
When you're the only one
I just got
talking
rid of the
sense in a
police
room full of
radio.
crazies.
Something big is about
End of the building, but we can't get to an exit.
Oh, now you're calling. I'd be like, listen, sorry, busy signal. Y'all wanted to leave. Bye-bye.
Andy's...
That kind of overwhelming force, ultimately to kindness.
Mutants disagree.
As long as they think
Can you get us in?
Yeah, I think so.
No think. Do it or not. There's no try. Come on, girl.
Pretty sure we're gonna...
Damn, it's like air grenades. It's kind of awesome. Polaris, that cup is metal. Just saying. Ooh, look at the teamwork. His blood is so cool. So much is going on.
They said it was safe.
Who said it was safe?
I know how to get out of here, okay? Just follow me.
They said you should know who it is. Who else can talk in people's heads? Interesting that they're only using Andy, though. You know who gave that tip off to the truck? That truck driver was, right?
We're just giving them something to think about. I know you're squeamish about killing.
More agents coming this way.
These
Too many for us to
girls.
handle.
Well then, I guess you better get in.
Stone cold. This is all part of the plan, y'all. And they be driving Mercedes and everything. Like, listen, Hellfire Club is popping.
Sir, I've seen this.
How'd that running attempt go there, Struckers?
We need all the help we can get.
It's like these parents need to be told things over and over again.
I need to.
I guess wearing one outfit's a lot easier for the CGI people.
Stunt.
Did those fossils have a better plan? If so, they could have shared it
instead of
hiding behind their screens and their chessboards.
You risked a lot of
The
important
shade.
lives today, tipping off Sentinel services.
Well,
I called it.
if you want to win,
Did you talk to the Mutant Underground? Did you get the help that we need?
they're in.
Played like violins. Very angry and hurt violins. Okay, well that was episode 11, which was called 3x1 or 3-in-1, I guess is what they were trying to say, but you gotta keep that X thing going, right? Yeah, this was another great episode. This one was really, really good. I think my favorite part was the messaging that came through in this episode. I mean, we had a lot of action, but I think what really resounded with me was the messaging that came from this whole idea of going to war on both sides. And I think the show's doing I've said this since the beginning, the show does such a good job with handling the sensitive subject matter that's being discussed in a way that kind of makes you, it's thought-provoking. It makes you think about all the different sides and angles and just how messy and crazy it gets when we start to use terms like war and what kind of drives forces behind it. But we'll kind of get to that. Why don't we jump into some highlights of the episode? These purifiers, this is a new name for me. I have not heard it before. It's probably a name that's come up in the comics before, but it's the first time we've heard it on the show, first time we've seen anybody wearing these cross-laden shirts. And we see that flashback very early on that Blink encountered them quite early. That they've been, it looks like they're very much, I mean, I think we already know what kind of a group that they're representing in the South, who like to make trouble for people they think are different when they're just trying to live their peaceful lives. But interesting, we got a tie-in back to Montez, Senator Montez, who we saw a couple of episodes ago. That was the senator that we're thinking it's Esme was infiltrating as a campaign agent. But apparently he is a big ranking member of the Purifiers. And again, the parallels in this show to what happens in real life. I think we already know that the certain organization that I'm referring to has had members in very powerful positions in the past and currently, and how that affects the way laws and law enforcement works towards the groups that they are they have a problem with. So interesting that they tie that all back together. I'm glad they did that. Again, that's what I love about the writing in this show so far. It's been so cohesive and tight. We're not leaving loose ends. We're not just showing things for the sake of showing them. Things all lead to something specific in this show, and I love that. They're doing a great job. The Hellfire Club, we finally got confirmation. I said, oh gosh, a long time ago, I think it was the first time we heard the term Hellfire Club, I was like, they're rebuilding the Hellfire Club, or it still exists, one or the other. And we got confirmation in this episode that they are rebuilding it. We got that lovely black gentleman who can make diamonds. That's a great mutation. Like that's a great power to have. I wonder what, I don't know if it's just like, obviously I don't think it's just diamonds. He probably can transmute a bunch of things, but I'd be really interested to see what more he can do. But we're probably not going to see that this season. At this point, we know he is in charge of helping the Hellfire Club rise again, I guess, from the sounds of things. So we also heard the triplets refer to the other members of the Hellfire Club as fossils. My guess is anybody who could be considered old, though at least that old, to the Cuckoos, who I'm assuming are in their 20s, are probably people we're looking at, maybe the Magneto-aged people, possibly OG members that still may be alive, or at the very least their children, like maybe the Otto von Strucker age of people. I would have to do some research because I don't know all the members of the Hellfire Club, but my guess is a good chunk of them are that they're being referred to, who we'll probably never see, are people who are part of the OG one from the comic book. So I would really love it if the show was able to, and especially now that, side news, breaking news, Disney bought Fox. Now, I'm not really for monopolies, don't get me wrong. But the fact that Disney now has Fox on their roster means that they have all of Fox's Marvel properties, which includes, what's that? Oh yeah, X-Men, Wolverine, Deadpool, like the Fantastic Four. Not that they really wanted that one, I'm sure that was just a bonus. But you get my point. They now have X-Men. That is huge, people. That is huge. That means they can start dropping names and putting people from that X-Men era into this, like, oh, I don't know, Magneto. Yeah, and we had the first reference to Magneto in this episode of who Polaris's real daddy is. Now, they didn't drop his name. The show's always been very careful about dropping names. And again, we have to remember this show was written before that acquisition happened. But now that they're all part of the big old Marvel family, this is a lot of potential, guys. This is a lot of potential for awesome in this world. So anyways, I got a little sidetracked, but back to Hellfire Club. It sounds like there are some fairly old or original members potentially still hanging around. I would love it in the future seasons of this show if we got to see more of these people, because that would be really cool just to see one or two pop up here and there. Not too many, because this show really is about the younger, newer mutant generation. Of course, we don't want to take away from that, but it still would be nice to see some of the old players kind of show up and show these kids how it's done. So it was really cool to get confirmation on that and to see kind of get a taste of what the Hellfire Club is all about. They clearly have connections, as they mentioned, and they got money, because, I mean, girl, those cuckoos were dressed. They were on fleek. Their hair, their clothes, they were all on point. You know, and they were driving a Mercedes to come for a rescue mission. Poor Underground be using old SUVs from the 2000s, and these guys come rolling up in fresh Mercedes. So, obviously, the Hellfire Club has got connections. The funerals. I think this is what kind of kicked off the whole dichotomy of the episode as far as showing both sides of this war and seeing how they both have legitimate reasons for why they feel like these extremes that they're considering are necessary. They're not right by any stretch, and I think deep down Jace knows this, deep down most of the Underground knows this, but both of them are being pushed to places emotionally and mentally where those things are not as important anymore because they're just scared. The underlying theme, at least on the side of the human/Sentinel services, is fear, right? Turning into the Yoda speech, right? We know that, you know, fear leads to hate and hate leads to suffering, right? And that's exactly what's happening on the human side of things, and now on the mutant side of things, because of what Trask and Sentinel services are doing to try to harness mutants. They're both operating from places of fear. Humans, as it's always been, sadly, since the beginning of time, fear of anything that's different. There are people out there who just don't understand what mutants are about. They don't understand why they were given powers and other people weren't. They're scared of what mutants can do. And rather than trying to understand it and maybe recognize that not everybody out there, as Marco very aptly pointed out, like, if we just want to murder people, we've had the opportunity. We could be doing it. We've chosen to be peaceful, as many other mutants had, but in a lot of humans' minds, they just feel like that's too much power for some person to have. We should just lock it away or get rid of it, whatever. And sadly, as I said, that's been the way humans have thought about a lot of things in life. So it's just sad to see, like, you know, both of them at these funerals. They're both mourning people that they cared about. You know, Jace's partner, husband, you know, maybe even a father, good guy, just trying to do his job. You know, we already knew from episode 1 that he was a little bit, you know, he had issues with mutants, but did he deserve to have to put a gun to his head and kill himself? No, right? And conversely, Dreamer was just trying to protect the people she cares about, shot in cold blood. Neither of these people needed to die. Both died because of extreme viewpoints on either side, and it's propelling and perpetuating a bigger ripple effect of just fear and hate and anger in pain, and no one's winning. That's the sad part. No one is winning in all of this. Sentinel service agents are dead now unnecessarily. A bunch of mutants have died and are captured and are being used. No reason for it. Just a lot of suffering that could be ended if two parties just sat down and tried to understand each other rather than just keep hurting each other over and over again and escalating the problem further and further. But I do love how they shot that whole scene with the two funerals to really drive home that both sides are hurting. Both sides have valid reasons for the way they feel, but they're just both going about it all the wrong ways. With the exception, I mean, the Underground was trying their best to do it peacefully, but you know, unfortunately not all mutants feel the same way, and because everyone's kind of going at this and operating out of a place of fear, the situation just worsens, right? So really well done, show. I really enjoyed the way you did that. That does bring out, though, the fact that they've shown Dreamer's death several times now does make me think that potentially Dreamer may not actually be 100% gone. This is the Marvel Universe, right? This is a world where there's time travel and there's time mending and there are rewrites and there are clones and there are all kinds of crazy technologies. So I think that if the show wants to bring Dreamer back, which I would not be surprised if they potentially do it, they can and they will, maybe just at a later date, but her death is definitely serving at this point to propel certain things into action. Like, that's really what flipped. If there was any ambivalence with Polaris, for example, about whether or not to go to war with humans, this death has shoved her violently in the direction of let's go to war. It's also definitely given Blink a hard shove in that direction as well. But how she returns will be the big question. Will she still be Dreamer? Will she be one of Trask's toys? Her body is still with Trask Industries, so anything is possible. You know what I'm saying? Actually, speaking of Polaris, just another side note, the baby changing her powers. That's pretty interesting. It looks like somehow, like, I guess the baby's growing and possibly developing its own powers or mutations. Polaris's powers are getting stronger, but I'm wondering if it's the baby or potentially just her hormones, you know, because little biology lessons for y'all out there, you know, hormones change a lot for women who are pregnant, so it's possible just that the hormonal changes are somehow amplifying her powers. It could just also be, as poor Carlos or Marco was trying to bring out, that maybe you're having a little bit of an episode with your bipolarism. Is it possible that maybe this is just because you're in that place? But if you've noticed, the color of her aura has gotten darker. It was very light green whenever we saw it in the beginning, and now it's kind of got this interesting black aura to it. This could just be a natural evolution of her powers, because we all know that certain mutants, their powers continue to evolve as they get older, but we'll see. As far as the whole thing with the Struckers leaving, I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of how the parent Struckers keep seeming to have to relearn lessons, especially being grown adults. Like, them thinking that leaving a place that's surrounded by people who could potentially help them, when they know that Trask Industries is specifically after their children, makes no sense at all. I was just like, wait, what? In what world does this make sense, Strucker parents? Like, I get that they were feeling a little heat and blowback because they talked to Jace and people were murmuring, but people have been murmuring about them since they showed up at the Underground. People have had issues with them since they showed up because they knew who Reed was. There are people in that Underground who ain't never gonna like the Struckers, and that's okay. Welcome to being an adult. You gotta deal with the fact that you're not gonna be everybody's greatest, or everyone's not gonna be your greatest fan. That's okay. Think about what's best for your kids. And they know the hounds are out there. They know Jace is adamant to find them. I don't know what made them think for 5 seconds that going out and being in the open alone with those kids was not going to potentially end in disaster. And so leaving the Underground, which for the moment, which it can't be for very much longer, but for the moment is the only place that Trask and Sentinel do not know about. That is the safest place for them to be, not to mention the fact surrounded by other mutants whose powers can help you protect yourselves and your kids. So I'm just like, okay, seriously, if I see one more episode with the Strucker parents trying to tell their kids that they don't understand what's going on here, like, Mama and Dad Strucker, you're human. Well, Reed, not so much, but for the most part, you think you're human. you don't understand what your kids are going through. They have a different struggle than you. I just really need the Strucker parents to just simmer down. I understand them, protect your children, but running, and just take running off the menu. Let's just take that off the menu until we are in a definite place where either Sentinel Service is backing off or the Mutant Underground is in a safer place. Period. I'm done my rant. And I guess the last thing I really wanted to address was just Jace. It's interesting. They're making him a very interesting character in the sense of everything he's doing. Like, first it was his daughter, now it's his partner. Jace is operating out of a place of hurt. Everything he's doing against the mutants is all about his own pain and hurt over the losses he suffered. And while it's understandable because that's what a lot of us humans do, it's just so sad that he really didn't hear what his wife had told him just in the last episode of, like, don't use the pain you're feeling as a crusade to go and do a bunch of awful things. Like, he just heard this from his wife in the last episode, and here he is back again, jumping in bed with the devil that he so succinctly talked about in his eulogy speech. Like, he's doing the exact same thing again. He's using that place of hurt to dole out more hurt. Jace knows this is wrong, but he's just telling himself, you know what? I got hurt. My daughter got hurt. My best friend got hurt. I don't know if they were best friends, but partner at the very least. So now that justifies all the evil things that I'm going to do, and I'm going to sleep well at night knowing that I'm hurting people. Possibly people had nothing to do with this because I have hurt feelings. So, just a really thought-provoking episode all around. Lots of deep issues discussed here. Discussed very well, presented amazingly as usual, and I loved it. I loved it. What did you guys think of this episode? Where do you think things are going to go from here? I mean, we've only got 2 episodes left, I think, in this season, so there's not a whole lot more they can do, but where do you think the culmination point is? Please, give me your predictions below. Do you think we're going to see more of the Hellfire Club going forward, or we're just going to kind of stick with this idea that the Underground and the Hellfire Club might be working together, at least for the time being? Please, leave your comments below. You know I love the discussions that we get into together. And if you like this video, guys, please go ahead and click that like button. If you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time, see ya!